from Tessellations. I was like, yeah, cool. Where is that? Sounded very outer space to me. And then they said, no, it's patterns, it's finding patterns in the most random things that form a bigger picture eventually. And I was like, that's easy, but where do I go looking for patterns now, let alone in random things? But the more I looked and the more I thought about it quite seriously, I realized that human beings are obsessed with patterns. Now, what is this obsession that human beings have with patterns? The human brain is wired to make sense of what is happening around us and what we see. So, one of my favorite things to do as a child was to look at clouds and spot animals. Tigers, lions, my personal favorite, gorillas, giraffes. I'm pretty sure I've seen some cartoon characters as well. And we've all done that as children. But what is this quirky habit? Where does this come from? Why do we look at random things and say, this could probably be something familiar? That is our need to make patterns. That is the brain's wiring to make meaning out of nothing. And mind you, this isn't just some quirky childhood habit that we all have. When you go back to who we were, our ancestors before modern world and technology took over, the only two goals in life was to procreate and survive. And survival meant safety, familiarity, and certainty. So we didn't really like anything that was not familiar to our heads. And anything that disrupted this flow or this pattern of familiarity directly meant threat to survival. Now, what could anything be? It could be something as simple as, today there is something so different about the chirping of that particular bird. The pitch, it doesn't sit quite right with me. Well, that directly means a threat to survival. Again, the word patterns. But otherwise, it's hiding in plain sight. Let me just connect the dots. Or, wait a minute, let me backtrack. The crux of it all being, let me make sense of what's happening, because I know for a fact that is forming a bigger picture. And that is how our identities are tessellated into reality. Think of it like this. The mosaic that you see here is our identity. And the little tiles, known to us through repetition, form our cells of being. Simply put, what you repeat tessellates your reality. I once read something on the internet which was pretty interesting. It said human beings are nothing but bees with Wi-Fi. Of course, that particular metaphor had a lot more to do with technology and what the human behavior towards was like. But if you look closely, these are the ultimate tessellators of the universe, and here's why. We've all seen a honeycomb, but if you look closely at the build, each hexagon present there, perfectly, meticulously crafted, repeated over and over again, without any gaps, is what tessellation is. And here's the funny thing. An instinct that once just kept us alive, in modern world, is doing a lot more. Something far more abstract than just keeping us alive. And that is building our identity. So, if the mosaic is our identity, and we're not bees, we don't have, our tiles are not made of wax. What really builds this mosaic? Our habits, our beliefs, our experiences, and the stories we tell each other. Each tile can look absolutely insignificant, just like the hexagon. You take it out of context, has no meaning. Absolutely random, just a plain color. There's nothing interesting about that. But stack enough of them together, there's a mosaic of identity. This is psychologist Dan McAdams. His entire theory is based on narrative psychology, which simply talks about the sense or the self is built on the stories we tell each other about ourselves. Simply put, human beings need to tell stories. They use the form of stories to understand the world around them and to express themselves. We've all seen the movie Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. It's one of my favorite Zoya movies. A simple story of how a road trip mended broken friendships, ended love that wasn't right, opened door to new love, and changed the course of their lives forever. And 14 years post-release, even today, if I were to think about a road trip, one of the first few things that come to my mind is either Spain, a Birkin, or one of the cast and crew of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Now, why does this happen to us? What is this obsession with stories? The human brain is not capable of storing information in form of raw data, which is why you're more likely to forget a bullet point or a to-do list or numbers, but never forget the stories your grandmother told you growing up. Now, how do these stories affect us? Oh, I'm just bad with names and numbers, you know. That's not a fact, that's a story. You repeat it enough number of times, that becomes your identity. Now, you're a forgetful person. Or even something like, I'm just not a creative person, I'm more technical or logical. Repeat that story enough number of times, you are not even going to attempt to create anything. That is the power of storytelling. The stories we tell ourselves is very subconsciously building our identity, tessellating reality one tile after another. And why are we so obsessed? Why do stories, something as random as, oh yeah, I'm just forgetful, why is that becoming a fact that runs our life? Because stories have emotions, and human beings need to thrive on emotions. We thrive on emotions, conflict, and resolution. Think of the last time your friend told you a story or about a conflict. It was never, yeah. So I walked into the room, I spoke about this, they agreed or disagreed, and it was over. It always comes with a lot of emotion. Oh my God, bro, the scene she put, I tell you. We start the story, we need to start our narrative with strong emotions, because the human brain needs and loves stories. So for entire identity is a mosaic. How do habits come into picture? One of the times we explored were stories, but what do you mean? Habits make our identity. The habits you repeat each and every day, consistently, just like the bee, building its hive, its very functional structure, is not really thinking of, let me just sit and perfect the pattern. Or don't quote me on that, I don't speak bee. But I'm pretty sure it's not thinking, yeah, let me perfect the structure. The structure, the symmetry, comes from pure instinct, from repetition and alignment. The human brain is exactly like that. The more we repeat, the habits we practice day in and day out, consciously or subconsciously, is creating alignment. And that alignment induces and grows your instinct. For example, when you go to the gym once a week, you're not going to feel like a fit or a healthy person. But go to the gym every day, just 1 week, you're more likely to pick that up and continue that for week 2 or week 3, because you're on the way to becoming a healthy person. Or 1 day of meditation is not going to change your life. The first time I meditated, I remember telling my friend, I just wasted my time. But you meditate consistently, do it like the bee, over and over and over again. Before you know it, you no longer have the need to abuse the person who cut you off in traffic, or to call your friend and just bitch about that cool work. And these habits are very quietly, sneakily shaping your belief systems. And that belief system, oh, I'm a healthy person now, or I'm a calm and composed person, I don't just react. That belief is giving you the framework to move through this world with confidence, clarity, momentum, conviction, yada yada. So if our identity is a mosaic, and now I have the types, okay fine, I'm going to operate differently with my habits. I'm going to tell different stories to myself. How do we put the pieces together? What glues the tiles to form this mosaic? Belief systems again. A belief system is nothing but a repeated habit, repeated so often that it's almost subconscious. Let's think about a very old saying. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's not a universal law. There's barely any kind of data to back that up. But repeated enough number of times that it almost becomes the truth. Because we all tend to agree to that narrative. And that is stopping an average man from even trying. Because he's not rich. It's only the rich that can get richer and the poor can remain poor. And another personal example with belief systems. My mother would always tell me something. She would say, okay, don't laugh too much. You will cry very soon. And of course it comes from hardships and a different kind of conditioning in her life. But, and I'm able to crack a joke about it today, so I guess that didn't back me as much. But I would be lying if I stand here and tell you I never believed in that. Because there was a point in my life, for a significant period, where laughter always came with a sense of fear. That, oh my God, I'm laughing too much. I don't want to be attracting the bad now. It's almost like I have the power to invite the bad, so let me not laugh. So what do these belief systems really do to us? The best part about having these belief systems is knowing that most of these belief systems aren't ours to begin with. If you really look at your belief systems, pause, take money, love, institution of marriage. You look at these beliefs that you have around these systems, you will understand most of which were not yours to begin with. These were told to you by the elders in your house, by the media, could be so many other resources. Point being, when that belief system is not mine to begin with, it can always be re-examined, rewritten, and rebuilt. And the best part of the belief system is when the belief system begins to build, when you start building a new belief system that you want, you have the option to tailor that belief system. That cement that is going to hold your entire mosaic together, you have the power and the control to decide exactly how strong or weak that glue is going to be creating this mosaic. And here's the thing about the individually shaping tile or mosaic that we have here. It's selfish, right? But it doesn't really shape us individually. That selfishness leaks and tessellates into a bigger society. Now what am I talking about? You and I both can walk into any store today and pretty much shop anything for survival. Food, water, clothing, shelter, anything. And I can just use this paper printed with numbers, and that holds immense value for my life, for my survival. You and I both can do that. Where did that come from? That comes from the ability that we human beings have to share fictions. So this model works very well in the world because you and I both subscribe to the idea that, okay, money has value. Money can buy lives. Money is great. Money can build, money can destroy. It's because we agree to the narrative that we build ourselves with people. Which is why humans are the only species on this planet who can convince strangers to march to war, or protest for or against a cause, or convince you to buy really ridiculously expensive shoes and go running in the morning. Humans are capable of that, and we are the only species on the planet who have this ability to share fictions. When you look that this tile, redundant, insignificant, doesn't have any meaning. It's just an orange tile. But you stack it enough number of times with what you repeat, the habits you practice day in and day out, the stories you tell yourself, and the experiences you live, bang, there's your identity. That's your mosaic of identity. Build it consciously, build it enough number of times. Because the best part about knowing there's a mosaic is that it can be reworked on, no? It can be reworked, reimagined, redesigned, recreated, and before you know it, do it enough number of times, the entire mosaic changes. And that's your new belief system. That's your new habit. And that's you consciously choosing a life that you want to live, aka tessellating your reality through your brain. So ladies and gentlemen, if there is one thing you must take away from this speech, I would like you to ask yourself, what mosaic am I tessellating today tile by tile? What is it that I'm repeating? What is it that I'm believing without wanting to? And what is it that is keeping me on autopilot? And curate that identity, because identity is never found, it's curated. My name is Amaal, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.